is to get a job for the student. Number one is to help the student think better. In other words, think more like them. But if you ask the parents paying the tuition or the students what the number one purpose of the university is, what do you think? Make money, employment. So it's kind of interesting. So there's a big disconnect. Now, with this, we can take a look at some of the student debt updates. And I pulled out Brigham Young University as an example, just the amount of students leaving with debt. In Utah, we're positioned really well because the public schools and the private schools are very, very affordable. So the debt levels are not that high, which is very good. In many parts of the country, you're seeing huge debt levels where the students are leaving sometimes with $100,000 plus debt to get a low-paying service job. And the average low-paying service job, which I may have on another slide, which I'll repeat when it comes up, is $19,300 annual salary. So we're trying to fix that and address this. Now, when we look at what's going on, there's a huge change occurring in the academic world. This is, you can Google the terms liberal arts schools closure, enrollment drop, whatever, and you'll find stories about what started happening in fall of 2015. That 27-year run of 7 to 10% rate increases stopped and went the other direction. Are dropping at the weaker schools and the enrollments are down. The University of Phoenix down 40%. Most liberal arts schools in the nation down around 40% in enrollment, taking 40–50% tuition decreases scheduled for fall of 2016 to take huge tuition drops in order to fill seats. This is a problem because they have very high-paid staff at these universities with very high salaries to be a professor and to be an administrator. So there's some economics that aren't working. This is just one example out of USA Today that recently happened. So a lot of crises are going on. This is the slide with that piece of data I said right here. The Gen Y jobs, the millennials, they're leaving college. The last 3 academic years, less than 50% have gotten jobs in the area of their graduate major. That are not, the 53 or so percent that are not getting jobs in their area of major are taking on average a $19,300 paying low service job, mostly in food. That's not good. Now, this has given rise to what we're talking about tonight. Universities are not very good at teaching skills, the actual skills that employers want. Matter of fact, if you go to Lehi, Utah, which is on fire, would you agree it's on fire with companies and all that? And I think they asked the 10 top CEOs in Lehi of those hot companies, software engineer, do you care where they get their skill? No. Do it. They want workhorses that can code product because they got ready markets for sales, because many companies are saving on employers by having software, so they need software built. Now, the rise of the coding bootcamp is a phenomenon that started 3–4 years ago, and I think the first one ever, I believe, is a company called Dev Bootcamp. Who bought Dev Bootcamp? Who was that? Kaplan? Kaplan's already bought Dev Bootcamp because a lot of for-profit, multi-billion-dollar companies are realizing this is the future. And so Dev Bootcamp started and said, hey, CS degrees, those graduates are not able to code. What's the problem here? Let's start a boot camp and know how to teach and like to teach people how to code. And multi-billion-dollar campuses and the multi-billion-dollar infrastructures of academia. This is radical, and it started happening, and now all over the globe, there's these boot camps that in 12 or so weeks are producing workers superior to 4-year degree BS computer science graduates in terms of producing in the workplace. Is that really possible? And it turns out it is. But this is not just stopped with coding boot camps, but coding boot camps are really making a difference. Here's an example. This is this article. Guy spent $11,000 on a coding boot camp and doubled his salary. That's interesting, right? The phenomenon continues in different areas. It's not just coding or software engineering, but obviously, you have a computer science degree, Mountain can outperform that in terms of the workers and ready for the market. Well, it turns out also you could get a bachelor's degree in marketing, but marketing, today's world of marketing, is it different than 5 years ago? Is it different than 2 years ago? The average textbook takes 3 years to write and get into the classroom. How any marketing program can keep up with today's world of marketing and get the information needed and a good job. So that's given rise to, in Utah, we have one called Market Campus, a boot camp to teach people how to do digital marketing and understand today's marketing world. At Brigham Young University, where I taught for 12 years, there's only one online marketing class. And I had 3 times to work hard to save that class. And you think about that. That's an interesting issue going on. Then I can get a business degree, an entrepreneurship degree, and so there's something I'm involved in, is Startup Ignition, which we'll talk about later, taking the field of entrepreneurship. But this is happening now in sales and in all sorts of skills-based work areas. We're seeing 12 to 16-week boot camps outperforming the corresponding degree from 4-year universities, and outperforming by a wide margin in the proficiency in the employment starting salaries. So kind of interesting. Now, with that said, I want to share with you, not hearing him. Let's see what's going on. Let's see if the sound doesn't, once it's plugged in on HDMI. So the largest boot camp in the world of these modern day boot camps is called General Assembly. And it received about a $70 million cash infusion about a year ago or so. And we're going to hear from the CEO being interviewed by CNBC about what are these boot camps and why do they exist? If we can figure out the sound. Play it again. You know what I could do? I could actually maybe pop out of here. Yeah, we'll do it the old-fashioned way and do it through the systems. Okay. Let's see if we can.
Institutions in a way that allows for higher ROI, more flexibility for students.
But you came up with this idea because you found your own business education was a time suck.
Well, actually, a lot of the concept comes from my 20s before I went to business school, when and sort of that sort of is now a very cliched story. I graduated from college, with a degree, thinking that because it was in Latin, it was like a Harry Potter spell, was going to open any door that I wanted to. I got out there and found that I didn't have a ton of skills, and I spent a lot of years being sort of lost and lonely in the world of work, looking for that sense of purpose and direction and on-ramp to an opportunity. And so I eventually went back to business school in my really late 20s in order to sort of get back on that on-ramp. And when I was there, I said, it's a shame that I spent all of my 20s looking for this on-ramp, and it'd be way better if there were opportunities for people early in their career to get skills and be able to sort of get on that.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Jerry Summer teaches very specific skills.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, when you went to business school, this is the question about whether they're an alternative to each other. believe that it was the skills in business school that actually created the on-ramp that created this company. It was the environment, the education, the network, if you will, that inspired you to create this company.
I'd say that the value proposition of college and then of graduate school is a combination of things right now. We have, you are going to learn these frameworks that have been built through history. You're going to make connections and have a social experience. You're going to build a network of peers that's going to be valued to you throughout your career. And we want to have that same value proposition just at a much more cost-effective and shorter time frame. In a way that's a lot more flexible for today's sort of modern lives and when they want to go and get those skills.
And so it's all digital.
No, it's actually, we're old school that way. We have campuses all over the world, 13 campuses, everywhere from New York to San Francisco to LA.
But you do a lot of digital stuff.
We train on digital. We have online courses and programs as well. Especially, we have an incredible online program for teaching digital marketing inside corporations for executives and managers inside Fortune 500 companies. And so that's almost all on.
What's the cost?
So our offline programs range anywhere from $3,000 for a part-time course to $100,000 for a full-time immersive program. That's where you learn basically a junior web developer, junior UX designer, junior product manager.
Hey, YouTube fans, I'm with the value proposition.
It turns out that not just a phenomenon that's a flash in the pan. I think we lost the visual. As of March 2015, this industry was well over $100 million in tuition at just a handful of schools. And now with so many schools popping up, it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars of tuition. But that amount, you say, well, that's not very much. Think of what all the universities are making. A lot of revenue from tuition. But you got to understand, this is a very efficient marketplace. This is where students in 3 months can get a skill that makes them employable or able to perform a skill without having to build billions of dollars of real estate, without having to pay massive amounts to a lot of faculty, administration, and staff. Very lean companies are running these boot camps, and it's delivering real skills that are going out into the market. Now, what's really fascinating is I was exposed to this for the first time in 2010, I believe, when I visited out in Chicago a co-working space, much like Joel and his team are doing in other parts of the state, trying to get co-working spaces. When there's one in downtown Chicago, and the one in downtown Chicago had this room in it with like 30 computers set up. And it says starter league on the window. And I go, this. And starter league ended up being one of the very first boot camps. I go, what do they do? Well, they have expert software engineers teach people who have never coded before how to code. Of course, they pay $8,000. They have to find a room and board in downtown Chicago for 12 weeks. Learn how to code, and then they get a job afterwards. I'm like, well, that's interesting. 6 months later, I went back out to Chicago for another event and was at the same place. I go, oh, this thing's still here. Oh, they're doing 4 classes simultaneously now. So we need one of these in Utah. And I didn't know who was going to do it or how it was going to happen. And then, lo and behold, my son Tyler and 2 of his associates co-founded Dev Mountain here in Utah and created one of the best dev boot camps in the country, and has had a tremendous track record. I'm super proud of him. I'm going to just pass the baton here, and if he wants to come and get set up and plug in if it's working. I don't know if you can get the picture back, but we'll let Tyler plug in. You can unplug mine. And Dev Mountain is probably, and I've looked into this, one of the most efficient boot camps. The number of students in that it has existed is vastly higher than most of the other boot camps running. It's very efficient. So leave it to Utah to be even more efficient than an already efficient marketplace. So with that, Tyler, are you ready to go? Getting up and seeing if he can get up. I'm not sure if you can have a screen. You might have to talk without the screen. I'll let him tell the rest of the story and how that all happened and what happened to it, his background, and some of his recent news and everything. So, Tyler, handing it to you. We'll see if Joel can get you up.
Hello, everybody. I'm gonna finagle with this real quick here so you can get it going. If not, no big deal. Let's see. But anyways, hi everybody. My name is Tyler, and I am John's son. And yes, everything he said is correct. I started one of the boot camp in Utah, and I think it was probably counting on two hands in that amount first in the United States. So we've now been operating for 3 years, and we are concentrating specifically on the tech industry in code, in app development with iPhones. And so we're focused completely on the tech sector. Let's see if I can get this going.
I fluffed it. I'm going to get on the PT2.
Okay, guys. Hi, that's my first slide. I'm Tyler. We skipped that one. So my background is I'm from Seattle, Washington. My whole family's from there, born and raised. I moved down to Utah very close to the age of when I was going to BYU. I got a degree in business management. But here's a real story about my education that I wanted to share with you. My father talking about education and the way that higher education is a little bit broken. I haven't used my degree once in my whole life, right? I have a very short career. I haven't used it to get a job or to do anything for myself. But what I have done is I've concentrated on the skill sets that we were talking about earlier. And I put a picture of a burrito up there because I go back to a time when I was in high school. And I was flunking all of my classes. Literally, my parents went to my parent-teacher conferences in every single class I had. And they came home and they said, why do you have to every single class? I'm like, don't worry, I got this. And so what I did is I went to my English teacher and I said, I really need to get my grade up. What can I do? He said, go get me a burrito. So I went and got him a burrito and he gave me a beat. So that's the kind of guy that I am, right? The kind of guy that's just scrappy and ready to go and do anything that I can do to get ahead of my life. That in my education as well. What I've done is I've tried to focus on a skill set, tried to focus on something that I can do in the industry, in the marketplace, and make myself hireable and marketable. So I have a picture of BYU up there, and I have my diploma. Is a burrito. Some of the things I've done in my past, I started in Mountain in 2013. But I did a couple of things before that. I've always been into tech, software and technology. And throughout my career, with that very first company there with the M, I call it Magic Yes, it was actually a dating website. I started a dating website in college, go figure. And I did that with a couple of friends that were actually developers as well. And as I started that company, I started to pick up this skill set, not at BYU, but I picked up this skill set literally one-on-one mentoring with one of my friends that I was building this company with. And he taught me HTML and CSS and JavaScript, all these things to manipulate the web, and how to build a website, and what to do, and how to do it. And so when it came to when I got out of that company, I started to mount with two other associates of mine. And we literally had the idea, how can we teach people like how I learned from a mentor, one-on-one? How can we do this? How can we get a skill set from someone who knows what they're doing to someone who doesn't know what they're doing, and in a rapid, accelerated format? camp phenomenon comes in. My father went and visited the one in Chicago, came back and brought that idea, and I said, you know what, we can do that too. We code, and I partnered up with them, and little by little, we built Dev Mountain. We built a coding boot camp. And they're taking over the world in every single sector or curriculum. They're little by little building and building and building. First it started with code, now it's going into startup principles, then it's going into digital marketing, and then it's going into sales and all these other curriculums. The boot camp, how did you learn how to code, right? The only other options were learn on your own, which takes a lot of time and it's really hard, or go to that 4-year CS degree. So enter option 3. And at Dev Mountain, we're just trying to make this accessible to everybody. Anybody who wants to learn how to code, who wants to learn these skill sets, we try to make it as accessible as possible, keep it really affordable, really easy, and on top of that, for everyone. And while still maintaining that impactfulness, we have locations everywhere. We're spreading as well. We're trying to go from everywhere to Provo to Salt Lake, but now we have a location down in Dallas, and we actually have a second location in Texas too. So we're trying to grow every single location that we have. And then we're doing it in different formats as well. Boot camps aren't just only these full-time immersive concepts, like a full-time class. Boot camps that my father started with his startup ignition with startup principles. They're after-hours boot camps, so you can still go hold a full-time job in the after-hours, and in the evenings come and learn these principles in these boot camp formats. And that's what we have at Dev Mountain as well. We have a part-time and a full-time option. So if you want to quit your job and dedicate yourself for 12 weeks, 9 to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday for 12 weeks, you can do that in a part-time format, which is a little bit more better as far as scheduling is concerned. And they're really intense, and they're for a specific demographic, right? It's a fire hose of knowledge in these boot camps. Whether it's digital marketing or startup principles or coding, whatever it is, what they're trying to do is make you hireable and marketable. And that's a hard thing to accomplish. And so they're just they're taking your brain and putting a fire hose of that knowledge into it, trying to cram it in there. And you're going to want to hit your head against the wall multiple times when you're going through these boot camps, but they're called boot camps for a reason. Intense and immersive. I just wanted to give you a couple of examples from what we've experienced at Dev Mountain. Dev Mountain started in 2013, and since then we've actually graduated over 700 students from our programs. And the 2,500, the number there is the applicants to our program. So 4 applicants that come to our program. And the student examples that I have here are just to show you the diverse outcomes that come from these boot camps. Yeah, most of our students are career-driven individuals who are looking for a career in the topic that they're studying. Entrepreneurs, right? Boot camp, have an idea, and they want to execute on that idea. They want to build the ideas in their head. So they come to one of our coding boot camps, Dev Mountain, and they build the idea, and they go and execute it. They go and build a company. But we also have people who are not even in tech. For example, BYU MBAs who come through our program, take our class, skill up a little bit in tech because they want to go land a job for Facebook or Amazon, and they're not even going to be coding, but they just want to get familiar with the tech industry. And so we have people that are doing that as well. So there's a bunch of different outcomes of people coming from all different walks of life today in these boot camps because they're so accessible in comparison to traditional education. And yes, as Joel said, just 2 weeks ago, actually, we were acquired. A university called Capella University, which is an online university. They do about $500 million a year in annual revenues. So they're a huge, huge education company. 6 months ago and said, hey, we want to look into getting into the bootcamp industry. Why? Because they think it's the future. Traditional paths of educating yourself, getting the quickest path possible from getting a skill to getting a job, they think it's boot camps. And they're identifying it. Many other players in the space are identifying it. They saw us as one of the leaders in the boot camp industry, and we were able to work out a deal. So very exciting times for boot camps, and they are definite path or way of educating yourself for sure that's going to be here to stay for a very long time. He said, I don't know if any of you have any questions or if we're going to open up to questions, or I'm just going to give the mic back to you real quick.
Let's ask questions for that. I'm going to ask one to start.
Okay.
So you didn't mention one thing that I think is really unique. Tell them about Dev Mountain's unique housing compared to the rest of the industry, and your pricing compared to the rest of the industry, and what that's done to bringing out-of-staters to the state.
So as my father said, one of the first coding boot camps he ever visited or saw was in Chicago. Chicago is a very high area, right, to live. And the unique thing about Dev Mountain is we started here in Utah, which has a very low cost of living and very low cost of housing or just everything is low cost here. And so what we've been able to do is we've been able to pass those savings that we got for saving in cost of operation, we've been able to pass those savings on to our students. So yes, we are a very affordable boot camp. We're about half the price of any other boot camp in the nation. And on top of that, in tuition is included housing. So if someone from Wyoming wants to come and learn how to code, they can do that because we include housing in tuition, just wrapped up. It's one package deal, and on top that's more affordable than all these other boot camps that are just price of tuition, not even housing included. About 60% of our classes right now are coming from outside the state of Utah and attending in Utah. A lot of them are actually willing to stay here. So, we're infusing this economy here, this entrepreneurship and startup and business economy here with more and more developers, which is a great thing for Utah.
So give an idea of like the top right in San Francisco, how much it costs to attend one there and here.
So in Silicon Valley, there's a very obvious tech hub, of course, we all know that. And it's a very high cost of living. And a typical boot camp is about $16,000 to $20,000 in Silicon Valley. And our boot camp is $10,000. So right there, we're about half price.
So I've kind of got a question and then a rhetorical request. There doesn't seem to be a lot of boot camps for creatives and also boot camps for the younger set. There's a group here called Future and Design that has fashioned the deal with Adobe. So over an 18-month period, a series of, say, 3 of those periods of time, that they'll be able to take these at-risk youth and have them fully certified on CS. Mm-hmm. With that stated, what's the value of the badges and certifications of any of the boot camps that can show the potential employer or partner what your value prop is?
Yeah. So at Dev Mountain, for example, when you graduate from one of our courses, it's not accredited. This is not a Title IV university. This is not an accredited university, right? And that's actually a good thing, and I'll maybe explain that in a second. If you want a piece of paper that says you took our Dev Mountain course, we can give you that. But really, what the value that you're giving to your employer is the skill set that you have. What we tell to employers all across Utah and all over the nation, where we place hundreds of our graduates, is treat them like every other candidate for the job. And if they make the cut, they make the cut. And most of the time they do. We say just interview them like every other candidate that you're filtering through. And they compete and they land jobs, and many times over CS 4-year degree candidates as well. Yeah.
No work experience, which they've been through boot camp, and how do they get into the job market?
Yeah. So we don't market these guys as experienced developers. We market them as capable developers, right? But yes, if you were to say, can this guy come out of this coding boot camp and become a CTO of eBay? No, of course not, right? They just don't have that industry knowledge. But what they are perfect for, they're entry-level, junior-level developers, very capable and world-class beginners. That's what they are. So they're perfect fit for teams. They're perfect fit for startups. They're perfect fit for anybody and everything. We've placed them from one-man teams in a startup all the way up to literally eBay, right? And Overstock and Reddit. We've had people on huge teams all over the place. They obviously don't have that resume, right? And that's what we try to do, is we try to build projects and do things in class to build that resume or to build that portfolio to show, okay, no, I haven't held a job, but look what I can build, right? And if the employer says, wow, that's actually pretty impressive, can you do this quick code problem so I can just test what your capabilities are? And in the interview process. And like I said, they're very capable.
So I completely believe in the bootcamp process, and it's a great job. I did run into actually 2 situations in the last 2 weeks that caught me a little off guard, because I thought as long as you knew coding, going to position. But both of them told me that they learned to code on their own, and because they didn't have the stamp of a degree, they had a hard time finding coding jobs.
Yeah.
What can I tell to them?
The marketplace is turning. I think employers are turning a new face in that regard, where they'll find institutions or organizations that demand that kind of credential.
Okay.
But I think that's changing, and at a very rapid pace. I know many employers who, a year or 2 years ago, were requiring some kind of at least 3 years worth of experience or 5 years worth of experience. And our guys have gone and applied for those jobs and landed the job. So I think it's turning little by little. Yeah,
The industry placement rates are very high for boot camps, right?
yeah. For example, DevMount's experiencing about a 92% placement rate right now. So meaning out of all people coming to our programs, 92% of them are landing a job.
And you have about 10% that are entrepreneurs, so really, they're not trying
No,
to.
that's 92% of those career-driven individuals. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a question. Oh, go ahead, ask their
Let's let them ask questions.
Yeah, they'll ask questions.
So earlier in the presentation, it was mentioned about the skyrocketing tuition rates.
Yeah.
One of the segments that is responsible for that are the for-profit colleges.
Right.
So you're talking about being purchased by Capella, and you mentioned another coding boot camp, and they've undergone so many scandals themselves to the point that the Department of Education has changed rules to things like that. So as they take over boot camps, do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? And is there room for, price gouging, essentially,
Right.
with these companies taking over?
Maybe I can tell you from at least my point of view, or for the reason for why we actually did follow through with the deal and why it made sense in our eyes. Red Mountain was a very slow growth because so affordable and so accessible that we weren't in it for the money. If we were, we'd be charging these $16,000, $20,000 tuition rates like all of our competitors were. But the reason why we actually decided to join forces with Capella, because we saw that they were going to keep Dev Mountain how Dev Mountain is. And I'm still on Dev Mountain's team. Our team stayed exactly the same. No one was fired, no one was hired, no one was let go. Everything's exactly the same. And what they even told us was, we want you guys to just continue doing what you're doing. You have the resources of a $500 million company behind you. And obviously, yes, they wanted to grow, right? They wanted to skyrocket. They wanted to quadruple, 10x revenues in the next 5 years or whatever their plans are for it. But at the same time, I don't think it'll get to that stage because government financing is not available for boot camps. Right? And I think a lot of the reason why tuition's crept up so much is because people would pay for it because those loans were so accessible. And that it hasn't hit this industry yet. They are doing experiments with it. The government has just barely released a couple of experimental where they're actually allowing a select group and select schools in boot camps financial aid.
And whatever each state has.
Yep. Right. That's correct.
So because the growth is non-degreed, right? So where these degreed purchasers of boot camps are seeing the growth in the non-degreed programs. Right?
Yeah. So what they're seeing is they see these traditional education, and then they see this non-traditional education where they're experiencing such high placement rates and so many people interested in it. They just see this as the future of education.
So to follow up on that, government starts lending on these types of education, some sort of accreditation process.
I think I don't know. I hope not, because I think accreditation will ruin it. Because there's so much red tape and so many hoops that you have to jump through as far as curriculum. One of the best things about bootcamp is they are not held to that standard, and therefore we can reiterate our curriculum and update it on the fly. right? Our courses are 12 weeks. If we do a 12-week course and at the end of the 12-week course we realize, hey, something we did on week 8 didn't work, let's take it out of there. Or hey, we need to add something to week 10. We can do that whenever we want. Where, as he was saying before, my father was saying, to do anything in an accredited institution, it takes years, right? And that's why these CS degrees are almost irrelevant by the time people are graduating, because when they started, or the curriculum that they were taught the whole time is only out of date. Tech moves so fast that even myself, something I did 6 months ago, I'm not even doing right now. 6 months, let alone 4 years, right? And so that's why boot camps are so modern and so relevant and producing so many leaders, is because they're modern concepts and modern technologies and curriculum, so that the second they exit out of the boot camp, I need someone that can do JavaScript. I need someone who can do Node.js, or I need someone who can do Angular right now. Let's go. Yeah.
So,
Do we teach? Yeah, so we have multiple curriculums. So we have web development, we have iOS development, and we have UX design tracks. So we have 3 different major classes that you can take. Within our web development curriculum, it's a JavaScript stack curriculum, where we're teaching Node.js, Angular, jQuery, React.js, HTML, CSS, of course. And then our iOS, we're doing Objective-C, but we're switching to Swift. We have switched to Swift. It's about 80% Swift now. And then in UX design, it's more of a design-focused curriculum. Actually coding it, but more the thought process and the building of design and what is good design, and the process before the code, the actual designs to the developers. So it just depends on what curriculum you choose. But in our web development curriculum, it's a JavaScript stack.
To expand on that, web development, you kind of web development, or is it
So are you saying like CS principles? Like, are we teaching like?
No, more like so building a website with dynamic capabilities like users.
Oh yeah. It's full stack development. So these guys are learning front end, back end, everything. So to build a full web application.
Is 1 quarter, right? 25%.
Yeah.
Is that due to them not having the skills enough, or is it not having the capacity to take them on? And if so, I mean, this model obviously is successful.
Yeah.
Why is it not expanding at a greater rate?
Kind of both. Like I said before, boot camps are so intense, and they're so, like I said, that fire hose of knowledge that it takes a certain person to be able to learn in that kind of atmosphere. A lot of people don't learn this way. A lot of people like videos, or a lot of people like lectures, or a lot of people don't like hands-on projects and kind of that flipped classroom approach, which boot camps are. And so we do have like a filtering process, an application process, where they're kind of this pipeline of things to do to make sure that they're capable of doing and capable of being the person that we say that they're going to be at the end of the program. Because if we have someone that doesn't, it's a lose-lose situation instead of a win-win, right? If they go through a program, and sometimes people do go through a program that just don't grasp the concepts, or in week 3 they're just feeling so overwhelmed and they kind of just throw in the towel. But what we're mainly looking for is that kind of passion, right? Someone who's going to stick with it, someone who's really interested in getting into the industry, so that when we throw so much curriculum at them, that they're passionate enough to get through it. But you're right. It is 1 out of 4 applicants that we're getting through, but mainly that is due to qualified applicants, but also space. So it's kind of a combination of both. But we're looking to grow so we can accept more people in the future. Yeah.
One last question. I'm guessing your dad's going to take back over.
Yeah, no, I'm just getting ready.
But the vetting process, the qualification process you're talking about, did you have anything to build that on, or did you have to create it from scratch?
We created that. So this is when in the early days of Dead Mountain, it's obviously evolved now over the 3 years that we've been in business. But the first class that we ever did, it was really just like, hey, are you interested? Do you have resources to pay for the tuition for a class? And if you do, cool, you're in, kind of a thing. And what we found is exactly that. We found people giving up, or people not following through with assignments, or people not finding that they had the passion to have what it takes, or just weren't motivated. And so we just, over time, evolved our application process to, and you have a phone interview with one of our team members, and you have a little coding challenge to just see where you're at, to gauge your coding abilities on a very simple level, just to see where you're at, and so on and so forth. So we built that from scratch. We didn't have anything to go off of for that.
Everybody give Tyler a huge hand.
Thanks, guys. Let's see if we can get this working again. I plugged it in. Sure, your screen's working.
Some goofy stuff, isn't it? Let's just we'll just make it work the best we can here. Not sure why it's doing that. It's not going to be as effective. Not seeing the top, but we'll do our best here. You can play with that a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go in and talk about Startup Ignition now. That you've heard all about Coding Bootcamp. We give you an example of an Entrepreneur Bootcamp, which is what Startup Ignition is. Can you switch the way, because you've got screens? If you switch it the other way back, then I know what you did. Tell you how to switch between the two screens.
There we go.
There we go. Hey, look at that. He's the magic man. Okay, so this is interesting. This is about looking at these and how much does it pay to get a degree. So I want to, why an entrepreneur bootcamp? Well, entrepreneurship is a hot topic. This way, this group exists, and there's a lot of potential with becoming an entrepreneur. But degrees still produce. For instance, if you were to get a degree, your expected lifetime earnings right now would be $1.4 million in 2011 dollars, adjusted for inflation using the 2011 dollar. If you get the 4-year degree, it's $2.4 million. That's a $1 million lifetime increase, almost double to get that 4-year degree from high school. That gap is important to take into account. And then, of course, if you go to professional, you get a master's or a doctoral degree or a professional degree, you can see the dramatic increase in expected lifetime earnings. But the funny thing is, world of entrepreneurs and the crowds I run in, they think of this slide.
They laugh.
What do you think? What do you think? The people I vacation with, the people in my angel investing group, what do you think they think of this slide?
That was my last deal, you know, that's what they're going to be thinking.
To them, these are rounding errors.
Yeah.
And that's really true. And there's many, many of them here in Utah and all across the world. Entrepreneurship offers an interesting possibility to your life. Aspects can come from this. With that in mind, let's talk about why an entrepreneur bootcamp. First of all, entrepreneurship is heavily skills-based. Unfortunately, most people have learned it knocks and trial and error, and waste a lot of their time and money trying to figure out how to start a company and make it as an entrepreneur. And often people don't have the resources or the willpower to go through a failure, losing their life savings, or 2 years of their life and coming up with nothing. A better way, and it turns out there is a better way. It turns out that an entrepreneurship bootcamp can greatly reduce the amount of time it takes to launch a company. And when you do launch the company, you do it with a higher likelihood of success and mitigating many of the risks. And that's the mission of Startup Ignition. It's a short-term intensive skills training bootcamp for entrepreneurs. What we're looking for at Startup Ignition are those who want to start a company, those that are right now, and those that maybe started a company in the last year or so and need help fixing it. We've also found an interesting byproduct that we didn't expect when we started this about last summer, and that is people are going through Startup Ignition and realizing, hey, entrepreneurship is not for me. That because I've been trained properly, and this is not a lifestyle choice for me. But I now know how business works and how I can create value for companies
so I can now get a better job than I would have otherwise. And that's been happening. It's kind of a fascinating byproduct. So let me tell you about the Start Ignition model. What we do in Start Ignition is we help an entrepreneur nail the business model. We take the lean startup process, which is so much embedded in entrepreneurship these days, and we help them nail the model to really do it. And there's many reasons why people get lip service to nailing a business model, but they don't really nail it, and we don't let you get away with that if you become engaged in the program. We want you to really, truly nail it, because the difference between launching a company with an ill-defined business model and launching a company with a truly nailed business model is night and day. Talk about how to scale the product and scale the company, and we help you start the company properly, even if you need to do it real early in the process. The most problems in entrepreneurship, especially in successful ventures, come from problems between the founders themselves. Most of the lawsuits, most of the reasons for implosion come from poor structures when they found the company and poor exit strategies and not understanding how to get through log jams of problems between founders. Every month I have people come to me that have massive problems with co-founders and that are on the edge of going legal and then the very, very bad experience of life to go through that. And we try to help you avoid all of that. All right, so this is our model. What we do is help you nail the model by taking you through the lean startup process. So if you look at this, we teach you how to find ideas and evaluate those ideas, do the market research to find out if this is a real opportunity, take your problem solution of your idea and get it to a product market fit, and then figure out how big the market is, and then it's worthy of your time to figure out through the business model validation process, you can get it to a validated business model. Many times you're going to go down this path and find that you have to stop, go back, and fix something and tweak your idea or your model. Business is about 2.5 major pivots before it arrives at a business model that works, often looking very different from the first idea you launched with. So what we try to help you do is do the lean startup process properly, which is fail, 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 fast and quick and early until you arrive at the model that will work, and then put your time and money into a nailed business model. This is so easy to say, very hard for humans to do, because entrepreneurs are optimists. They think their idea is the best thing that's ever been invented. They think the rest of the world thinks just like them. That's not always true, is it, McKay? McKay's a graduate of Startup Ignition, and he's about 150 degrees away from where he thought he was going to be, aren't you? Are you having fun?
Oh, absolutely.
And enjoying it? You did a good job. Okay, with that, what do you learn in our program? We can go to our website. Our website, in 5 minutes, you can surf it at startupignition.com and get a complete idea of what we're doing. I won't show you the whole curriculum here, but we list it out. You can read all about this. But one of the things I wanted to point out by showing you the beginning of our curriculum, we spend a good time on helping you know who you are. So a lot of entrepreneurs don't know who they are, what they want, and where they want to be 5 years from now. I can't help you as a mentor. This program can't help you. Nothing can help you. And if you don't know where you're going or where you want to be, you don't have an idea on that, we got to help you find out where you want to be, and then we'll help you get there. So we spend a lot of time on that. And then we do all the fundamentals of finance and startups and understanding how it goes. Really tell you that there's about between the beginning and the end part of this curriculum, and we cover a lot of it. It's a fire hose, just like Tyler was saying with Dev Mountain. It is intense, and some people get shocked at how hard it is to build a multi-million-dollar company and become a millionaire. They think, oh, it should be easy. It takes a lot of hard work, and what we're there for is to help you hold yourself accountable and really do it.
Now, the instructors involved are myself, Gary Rhodes, and Ron Lindorf right now. We only hold classes down in Provo. These are the top 3 entrepreneurship professors ever at BYU and by student ratings. And we're all entrepreneurs and have built many companies, multi-million dollar companies, including billion-dollar companies. And this is my background just to show you what it is. I was the first ever guy to launch Internet Yellow Pages after having a career in the print Yellow Page business, and went through an IPO in the .com era. Crazy, you can look it up. InfoSpace has the highest price to sales ratio history in the history of the American stock market. It was absolutely crazy. Then I became an investor and a mentor. These are some of the companies I've invested in. I've done about 70 direct investments and hundreds of others through being an LP in venture funds like Peak Ventures and Kickstart Seed Fund and Mercado Partners and things like that. It's been really fun. As a venture investor, this is my single best investment, besides investing in myself, which is always the best investment. I met 2 young punk kids from BYU on Center Street in Provo, Utah. Flew down from Seattle and wrote them a check, and they had walls, and something about them though just smelled like a winner, and lo and behold they created a winner, and it was really fun to be a part of that for a decade from start to finish and see that happen. Then I became an educator and taught at BYU and that, so that's what I believe qualifies me to do this. I love doing this mentoring and helping entrepreneurs, and I turned it into a boot camp because I had former students come to me and say, why do I have to matriculate to an expensive university, take a bunch of general education classes, get into the business school, take a bunch of prerequisite classes just to take your class? Because when I took your class, it changed my life. People that like to skip all that and just take your class. And I go, that's an interesting idea. And so I decided to look into the boot camp, and it's turned out to be a good thing. And like, okay, you wouldn't have been able to take my class, would you? Unless you want to go back to BYU and spend 4 more years, right? Okay, with that, here's how it works. It's a 13-week period. The next one started June 6th. We do it down in Provo in the startup building. Tuition is $2,500 for the 13 weeks. It's a part-time course. We meet in the evenings. And we have a lot of in-the-field time where we meet you in the field one-on-one and do whatever it takes to get you to be successful. Sometimes I pay for lunch, sometimes you pay for lunch, that kind of thing when we meet. We have a lot of fun, and we just bear down and get things done. And then we have a really strong alumni program where even after you graduate, you have access to this mentorship, and it's really fun to see these companies build. Now, I like to say it this way. Entrepreneurship is not just about making a pretty car from the outside. This is the Bugatti. They have a new one that's $4 million. This is only the $1.8 million Bugatti car. This Bugatti here is beautiful. Okay? And it looks really, really good. And a lot of entrepreneurs think that when they spend all their time just tweaking a logo and choosing colors and making their website look cool and the brochures and whatever else there is, that's a lot of entrepreneurship, right? And that's what we're going to do, is spend our time in our office and our den and on our computers and trying to build a company. But the reality is you've got to bear down and build a great product or service and then do all those other things right and really put it all together. And it takes a lot to make it happen. And what Startup Ignition is doing, and that's why we chose the name Ignition, is it's about what's under the hood. If you don't build the engine right, and it won't go the way you intended it to go, and it will go as fast as you need it to go, and will handle the capacity. So Startup Ignition is trying to help you start that company right so that you don't waste your time and your money. And one thing that we learned in entrepreneurship is that time is actually by far the most precious commodity we have. There is unlimited amounts of money available to successful entrepreneurs. If you nail a business model and you start selling, and every month you sell more stuff than you did the month before, it only takes a few months before people start throwing money at you. But the question is, how fast and how long will it take to get there? And will it take you 20 years, 30 years, or can you do it in 2 years? So with that, any questions about Startup Ignition or a startup entrepreneur bootcamp? You're probably all experienced entrepreneurs and don't need something like this, but there's legions of people out there that need this. If you have any friends or whatever, and you say, man, he told me his business idea, and it was the worst idea I had ever heard. And he just quit his job to pursue that idea. That's a person you should send my way. I'm a very kind but blunt person, and I tell people when their ideas are bad, you should too. That idea, you need to tell them. Because it's not good that they get passive acceptance of bad ideas, right? So in Start Ignition, right after we teach you about who you are, we teach you how to assess ideas and know when you hear an idea whether it's truly a good business opportunity or not. How to do that. One of the best things is when you finish Start Ignition, you know whether or not you have a good idea or not. McKay, you took how long to change your idea in Start Ignition? So the first day, had an idea, and when did you change that idea?
About 15 minutes.
Because you got taught what makes for a good business idea. And that's where things start to percolate. It's not everything, but if you start with a bad idea, it's not going to get better just because you try to force it to be better. There's a whole book that we make you read on that topic. That's about 90% of the reason for failure in entrepreneurship is because people are pursuing ideas that shouldn't have been pursued. And so you gotta arrive at the right thing. Okay, with that, I just want to thank you for the time tonight and for letting us share with you about the boot camp industry. And take any last questions. Go ahead.
Looking at boot startup or CEO space with different players in the market, how do you see your place come up?
So I'm a co-founder of Boom Startup. A Boom Startup is an accelerator. So an accelerator is for a company that's already nailed their business model and maybe even gotten a trickle of revenue. That's their perfect applicant. Somebody who's nailed the business model, has a couple months of revenue behind them, and then they go into an accelerator, learn how to land a really good investor, like a $500,000, $1 million investor. That's what Boom Startup's mission is. I did 5 years, I sold out after 5 years with my partner, Rob Coons. I think they do a good job of it. The problem with accelerators is that only about 10 companies out of hundreds and hundreds of applicants get in the program. I'm trying to do this to help way more people. That's the goal of why I'm doing this, because I was frustrated. You know, we get 800 applicants and only take 10 companies. Yeah. That's, you know, what happens to the other 790? Should not exist, but there's still hundreds that are not being. Accelerators have a different role in life. And that was the other one?
Oh, SEO space.
CEO space. So is that a network organization?
Yeah, network organization. People spend a week.
Yeah, but isn't like peer-to-peer networking between CEOs and all that? Which is really good right here. McKay probably loves this. You come here and meet, talk to people, but start a relationship, tell them how it's different. What's the difference?
Place you are.
And you're getting intense instruction that goes on. I mean, like, if it's a fire hose, and then when McKay and Tim, his partner, and I would meet, we were in the middle, we go, Pass this. And, you know, they went through a lot of pivots, and they got mentored through the pivots. That's different. So, man, how do I have a sales mission plan, get one piece of advice from somebody here, and it really helps you. Sit down and really design your commission plan, make it work. Well, let's sit down and talk. Your operating agreement needs to take into account founder vesting and how you better not forget your Rule 83B when you start this company, or you're going to pay a lot more taxes down the road than you should have. And we really actually do stuff, and it's just, we're in it together. Does that make sense? It's a mentored boot camp. It's the same thing as like saying, hey, I'm going to go online and watch a 30-minute video on how to do JavaScript coding. Taking this boot camp and ending 12 weeks later, you know, be hired for $85,000 starting salary as a JavaScript coder. That's the difference. And the same thing for entrepreneurship. We want you to really do it. My goal is that we just create great companies, and we are. The first cohort has had great companies come out. We have some. We had one company raise money during the cohort, and we had a few companies talking to billion-dollar partners, and they just started it. And it was nothing, and in a matter of a couple of months, they were at that space. Because you can go fast if you do it right. Anyway, I don't want to bore anybody. Okay, thank you, Joe, for inviting me, and I'm really honored to be here tonight and have a few minutes in front of this group. And now that you've heard a talk from me, feel free to email me with any questions you have on any subject. jrichards@startupmission.com. Thanks. Thanks, John. So, what do you think? Should we get them into the lunch program? Have them come to learning lunch sometime? You guys need to get out of it. But you, on the other hand, I'm going to have you some other people with you stuck around for a couple of minutes. All right, another big hand for John and Tyler Richards. Next one, we have Bridget Cook. So if you've ever thought about how to write a book, there's an October to the Bootstrap. In October, we're going to have our first annual Bootstrap convention, which is going to be taking experiences like this, bringing businesses into an environment where they're going to be able to share the experiences, the tips, the tricks, and everything else that's involved in the bootstrapping process of building and successfully administering your own company. A couple of acknowledgments for people who came in late. We've got Nick Backley here with the Use Big Data, with the West Big Data Hub from Berkeley. Nice representation. Who's here with Future and Design. I'd love to have you spend about 5 minutes with her. And anyone else here, if you get a chance to be able to network for the next half hour or so, we don't have to be out of the room until 9 o'clock. We've got plenty of food over there to eat. Thanks for joining us in the circle. Appreciate it.